The greatest theme tune of all time of any football podcast, in fact, of any podcast ever. Everyone, welcome to 4M1T. You might be wondering, why is Krista Collins hosting tonight's show? Because we've got a new format, that's why. So from now on, we're not just coming to you, rather, once a week. We're coming to you twice a week. I will be hosting Monday nights from now on. And Danny Hamlet, the usual host, will be doing Wednesday night. So we will be coming to you live twice a week, which is twice as much 4M1T. No one can complain with that. Before we go to the other two beautiful gentlemen in front of me and let them introduce themselves and tell us how their week's been going, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We are 4M1T. Thanks for joining us. If you want to follow us on social, at We Are 4M1T. And we're also on YouTube. Fancy that. We're live there right now. Search for 4M1 Toffee. Hit the subscribe button. And every time we go live with a podcast, you'll get a little bing push notification and it'll let you know that we are on and ready to go. If you want to get involved tonight, we are live, so drop your comments and your questions below. We'll answer them live on air. And let's cut across to my two co-pilots for this evening. Now, in lockdown, you weren't allowed to go and visit your barber, but we have had our own personal barber, Mr. Dale Barber. Dale, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Not bad, not bad. The highlight of Mondays, obviously, is doing the podcast with you chaps. So yes,
the
double delight as going forward. Two lots of 4M1T. It's two of us. Two M1T today. Yeah.
Two Manx, one tough, and the other two watching from home or wherever they are. And let's get our Mr. Josh Murphy in. Now, they say Murphy's Law is if something can go wrong, it will go wrong, which is why Josh supports Everton. Josh, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Sheffield United, easy 6 points, they said. Easy 6 points, my arse.
It's not been a great week for United, and it's not been a great week for Everton, but you know it's definitely not been a great week for now. Tottenham Hotspur, fresh off the press, Harry Kane has told the club, I'm done, I'm out, I want to go. Where's he off to?
Man U, hopefully. And that's coming from me. I just want to see him in your red jersey.
I honestly think he's coming to United. I don't know what you think, Dale. I honestly 100% think he's going to United, although I have heard that his personal preference is City.
I do think he'll come United. I know we've just done the Cavani, extended his contract for another year, but if one of the best strikers in Europe is up for grabs, you've got to go all in. You've got to go all in and try and get him at your club, in my eyes. So I think United might pull out all the stops to obviously try and get him to Old Trafford.
The question is, though, how much is all the stops? Because if we live in a COVID-free world, you're talking silly money. I mean, you're probably pushing 200 million to get Harry Kane's signature on a piece of paper. But with that in mind, with the market the way it is, there's only really three clubs in the world, I think, that can afford Harry Kane, which is us, City and Chelsea. And I think the fact that Chelsea is another London rival, I don't think Harry Kane would do that to the Spurs fans. So how much is it going to take? What's the bid?
I had this very conversation tonight in the gym with my mate Steve, who's also a United fan. And given the fact that they've just got a not brand new, but fairly new stadium that they've not been able to fill for 12 months, I was saying in the region of about 130 million. It's gonna be more than 100 because we're talking about Levy here. Daniel Levy is going to try and squeeze as much of this as he possibly can. But like you said, COVID's hit. They've not had the income that they would have expected over the last 12 months. It's going to knock the price down seriously, big time. I think it's going to make him a bit more flexible with the negotiations. So I said 130. But you could be talking silly money. It could be 150. I don't know. What do you boys think? It's got to be over 100, hasn't it? Without a doubt.
The word on the street is United are ready in a bid for 95, which to me is a test in the water figure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get rejected straight away.
Yeah, you're dipping your little pinky toe in the pond, and you're saying how's it resolved, Daniel? But we know Daniel Levy's like. Look what he did to us with Berbatov years and years ago, and that was literally last second, 30.75 or something silly that was on the final, which seems like pennies now. But if you put that in today's market, I mean, he was probably holding us, over a barrel for like 150 million for Dimitar Berbatov. So Harry Kane is their golden pony.
Yeah, and he's
I don't know.
England's captain, isn't he? It's you pay an extra 20 million just for the fact that he wears the armband for England. Plus, he's their captain, so he's a leader. He's a goal scorer. He's going for records. He's a professional. And he's absolutely world-class striker, which, money can't hardly buy these days because there's so few of them. There's probably only, about 5 really, really top strikers in the world at the moment. And some of them are coming to the end of their career, like Cavani, for example.
Yeah. Is he the best striker in the world, Dale?
Oh, no. But he's. I don't think he's far off. I think you've got, obviously, Lewandowski at Bayern. I think he's been sort of there or thereabouts for the last few seasons now. But in terms of price for Kane, I'm probably not far off your evaluation there, Chris. 95. I would have said 100. Yeah, like you said, probably just test the waters, see what if that's sort of something Daniel Levy will accept. But I don't think Levy will matter what club comes in. If Chelsea put a bid in for 180 million, he'll probably say yes. He's not asked.
No, he's not.
He's not for. You've seen it, in sort of past transfers with Tottenham. I mean, was it Sol Campbell went to Arsenal? Berbatov's come to United. So I don't think the team matters to him who comes in for the players, as long as he can get the money, the right money for them. He'll probably say yes to sort of any offer, really. But hopefully, Harry Kane has his eyes sort of set at Old Trafford, and we can obviously sort something out there with him. But I just think with him coming out saying that again today, you've got to do everything you can. I think, in my eyes, to get arguably one, top 3 strikers in the world at the minute at your club.
It's the way he's come out of it. He's very matter of fact. Like, he's come out. He said, "This is what we know so far." He said, "I want out, and I want it done before the Euros. So I want it sorted." And the Euros kicks off in less than a month's time, is it?
Is that what he said, before the Euros?
Yeah. So he wants this done and dusted within the next 3 weeks. So, I mean, the 3 clubs we talked about, they're going to be ready in bids and stuff. The real question is anyone on the continent having it? So Harry Kane said he wants to stay in the Premier League. That was the other key bit of information. He's English, England captain. He obviously wants to win the Premier League title. That's numero uno on the priority list. But could a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, or even potentially an outsider like a Bayern, could they come along and offer him something?
I personally don't think so. If you look at other English players that have gone abroad, I don't think it's worked out for them. Michael Owen didn't work out for him at Real Madrid. David Beckham, I personally don't. He had a better career at Real Madrid, but I don't think he had a standout career at Real Madrid.
He only won 1 trophy, and that was his final season.
And he was part of a squad that they built, sort of individuals of the Galacticos, that some of the best players in the world at the time. Yeah. And he's not going to stand out in that squad for me. He world class right-sided midfielder, winger, whatever you want to call him back in the day, but there's too many world class players in that team for him to really shine. And I think that affected his career over there. And then obviously, like, you got the likes of Jonathan Woodgate, Steve McManaman, all these sort of players, just not really worked out for them abroad. So I think for an English captain, English professional, world-class striker, going for records, Premier League records on the line as well. If he goes abroad, he's giving that up. He won't hit Shearer's record if he goes abroad. And I think that's a massive thing for him. I ultimately think that's why he'll stay in the Premier League, because he'll want that. What was the point in scoring all these goals and being touted to be maybe the only guy to do it if you're going to just give it up and go abroad? Personally, I just think he's remaining in England. It's City or United. I don't think he'll look at Chelsea. Have they got I know they've got the money, but would they really want to spend that sort of money after spending what they've just spent on Timo Werner, Havertz, Ziyech? Do you know? I don't think the fans would like that personally. Would he go to Chelsea after being at Spurs? No. It's got to be either one of the United, Manchester teams.
Yeah. I don't think he loves Spurs. Like, you can tell, this is probably a really big decision that he's had to make for a long, long time. I don't think it's just as simple as, oh, well, I've not fucking won anything again this season, so I'm out. Like, he probably would have been umming and ahhing over the past 4 weeks, thinking, do I want to stay here and be a legend? Like, do you know the better example? Everyone always compares him to Alan Shearer, but the difference with Alan Shearer was Alan Shearer won a title. He won a title at Blackburn before obviously that's Southampton as well, but he won a title at Blackburn before he went to Newcastle and made his big move. Kane's never won a title, and the other big striker who I thought was, top level, who never won a title, stayed at a club his whole career, I always prefer to compare him to Matt Le Tissier. Because I thought Matt Le Tissier was an outstanding striker. Anyone who's watching, you go and punch Matt. I know he's weird in real life. That's got nothing to do with football ability. Listen, Michael Jackson's a nonce. Made some great tunes though, didn't he? Like, sometimes you've got to separate the two. And that's an extreme example. So ignore I said that. We'll just blot that 30 seconds out. But Matt Le Tissier, you go and punch him into YouTube and watch a Matt Le Tissier compilation. Honestly, if you've never seen him play before, it'll rock your world. And he stayed with Southampton. He was so loyal his entire career, and he could have gone to a bigger team. He could have gone to a United or a Newcastle at the time or someone like that and won trophies, and he never did. And I think Kane's like that. All he's got to show for his career is, some Carling Cup antics and a Champions League runners-up medal. The Premier League and breaking the records is the big one for me. I completely agree with you, Josh. I don't know if you feel the same, Dale.
Yeah, 100%. It obviously, the closer it gets, the more it's going to, keep getting mentioned. What is he? Is it just less than 100 shy now of Shearer's record? And he's another 20 a season. I mean, he's getting 20 a season quite comfortably recently. It's if he stays injury free, but early 30s, he could be. He's not far off that record. Like I say, if he stays fit as well, but obviously, I think that's in his mind, surely, being sort of that far down the line and quite close to that record. But I think he is going to stay in England. I think he's also got a young family as well, and I don't know if that would impact, sort of a move abroad, taking a young family, to another country and, sort of learning a new language and stuff like that as well. So I think that might have a sort of decision, an impact on his decision as well. But I can't really see him going outside of England for, to another club. I think he will stay in England. It's just, which side of Manchester, in my eyes. But hopefully it's OT, Old Trafford.
We'll move on in a second to next topic, and we'll segue nicely. But one team, say it out loud now, who is Harry Kane going to be playing for when the season starts, next Premier League season starts in August? Josh, you first, mate.
Manchester United.
What are you saying, Dale?
United, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go a clean sweep. I'm going to say United as well. Speaking of Manchester teams, we'll cross back down to the capital. Chelsea have had a bit of a bad week. They got beaten in the FA Cup final, and then the women were on the verge of a quadruple. We can't talk about that achievement enough. They were on the verge of a quadruple, which is absolutely massive. Like, won the FA Cup, won the Women's Super League, won the League Cup or the equivalent to the League Cup, and then got to Barcelona in Champions League final. They were 1-0 down within 33 seconds, own goal. They were 4-0 down in 36 minutes. The game ended 4-0. The damage, they looked better in the second half, but the damage was done. I don't know if any of you watched either game, what your thoughts are.
I've seen the highlights of the women's final. Watched them this morning on the train to work. Heard about the early goal and heard about the flurry of goals that went in straight after that, pretty much. Just felt really bad for them because we know that they're much better than that. There's not 4 goals difference between Barcelona ladies and Chelsea ladies. The success this year speaks volumes, doesn't it? So they've just been unfortunately, it's just on the day, it's not worked out for them, has it? And I think conceding an early goal within a minute is going to just completely knock the stuffing out of you, isn't it? So it's not good. It's not good for them, unfortunately. But they'll bounce back. I'm sure that for them, professional women, they'll take that on the chin and they'll be like, fine, back to the drawing board. Let's do it next year.
What do you see? What do you reckon, Dad? Do you see any of the games?
I'd say with Josh, I've caught obviously some of the highlights of the women's game. I mean, ridiculous what they were going for. A quadruple. I mean, it's unheard of anyway. But that's some feat to obviously get into a final game, and still being a chance of achieving that. But yeah, I mean the early goal they conceded. There's obviously not an ideal start to the game, but you can't. It's difficult. It's a difficult one. I mean, did the occasion sort of get to him as well? You don't know. It's a big game like that, sort of Champions League final. But will they learn from it? No doubt. Yeah. Will they come? Will they come again next season? I'm sure they will. But yeah, it's probably a sort of a learning experience there. But yeah, as well, I didn't catch the game either. I've got lights on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's final that in my eyes. That ridiculous. But fair play to Leicester. Obviously, the first time they've won that. They've been doing quite well recently, last couple of seasons, and they have probably earned the right, not this, to be in a final, but to lift some sort of silverware recently. They have been good. Brendan Rodgers has been, he has sort of turned that team around, and they have been playing some great football last few seasons. So it's well deserved in my eyes for Leicester.
Yeah, we're focusing on Chelsea, aren't we? Because obviously the men's team and the women's team have had a bad week, but the scenes. Well, when the chairman came onto the pitch, he got dragged onto the pitch and he's like lifting the trophy and he's hugging all the Leicester players and stuff. Like, that is what football's all about. That was the romance of the cup for me. Like, we were all saying, how many messages were we sending in the group? Like, oh fucking hell, lads, I'm going to break down in tears here and stuff. Like, that is football. That's how much it means. And I was so happy for Leicester, because I think Leicester are like everyone's second team, aren't they? Because the incredible thing that he did with winning the Premier League 5 years ago, and then to defy the odds again this season, and they didn't do it the easy way either. Like, they had a hell of a cup run this season. They didn't have easy games, and even when they were playing teams from like the lower divisions, I think they had to go away to Stoke. That's not an easy game. Like, it's written into English folklore that an away trip to Stoke is not an easy game ever, no matter who you are. Like Brentford, who are obviously in the playoff semi-finals tonight, they're within touching distance getting to the Premier League if they can navigate the second leg against Bournemouth. Who knows after tonight? They did it the hard way. I was really, really pleased for Leicester, but I think it helped them that Chelsea were so poor.
Yeah.
Schmeichel also helped.
Yeah. I mean,
had a fucking worldie.
Unbelievable saves from that lad.
Mate, that save from Mason Mount, I was like, how the fuck's he kept that? It was the fact that he got down to save it, but is that the strongest hand you've ever seen in your life?
That save that was the game there. If that goes in, the momentum's with Chelsea. Extra time, maybe they might nick it. I mean, it went, and then they obviously went on to have a goal disallowed after that. So obviously the momentum was all in Chelsea's favour by that point. But that save was just unbelievable. Like, top class cup winning save. That, I know the goal was good, but I appreciate that save even more.
What do you think of that? Because there's been a lot of people talking today about Tuchel, and he got his team selection wrong. Like, so there's been two players who I've heard get criticised a lot today. One was Alonso, which I didn't think Alonso had a great game. I didn't think he had a great game at all. I didn't think any of the Chelsea team had a great game. If you're going to pick out key performers, Chilwell was all right. He was probably their best player He just looked like he was being industrious down that side. And if anything was going to happen all game, it was going to come from him. But the other one who got a lot of stick was Kepa. And I don't understand. So everyone was like, oh, they made the wrong choice in picking Kepa. You fucking hang on. Did you see Tielemans' goal? There's not a keeper, right? Just a task for anyone who's watching the podcast tonight, or I'll cut this clip and I'll put it on YouTube afterwards. And anyone who's watching, you'll hear this, what I'm about to say now. If you know a keeper ever across the history of the game who could save that Youri Tielemans shot, you fucking inbox me and tell me, because he doesn't exist. There's no keeper on this planet who was saving that shot. It was unreal. He couldn't have hit that any sweeter. It was just a goal to win any game. That was a World Cup final winning goal. Never mind an FA Cup final. So why go hard on Kepa again? I didn't think he actually did anything wrong yesterday.
I mean, you shouldn't really. I take it with a pinch of salt anyway, but I have seen people saying if that had been Mendy, he'd have got a fingertip to that.
Fucking bollocks! There's no fucking way!
I know. There isn't a goalkeeper, past or present, that would have got to that. Not even of the best. We're talking Casillas, Oliver Kahn, Buffon. None of them would have got to that. It was literally on a postage stamp in the corner, pretty much. It couldn't, if it had, And you know what? He was so blasé about it as well. When he celebrated it, he was just like. And then when they got asked about it after full time, he was like, "Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?" He just got an absolute.
I would have been shorts down, dick out, 10-game ban, and I'll take it. Like that is the sort of goal. It was so weird because he hit it, and it was almost like he knuckled it because it was driven, but it floated at the same time at hang time. It seemed to take. Does it make sense that it seemed to take an age to hit the back of the net, but it looked like it was rifled at the same time. It was such an odd shot.
I think he was stretching for it slightly as well. I think the ball had run away maybe a bit further than he would have liked, but it worked out perfectly for him with the strike because it looked like he was stretching.
It was fucking incredible. It's such a good goal. I must have watched it about 40 times. I love it.
Josh has probably done a few of them on Sunday League, hasn't you, mate?
Not this weekend, mate. Not this weekend. I won't even tell you how we did this weekend. It was not good.
For everyone listening, Josh messages the group. So was it yesterday morning? And he comes and he goes, "Lads, we lost 13-0, but I had a good game."
I did. I was solid. For any of our listeners, I play left back. And the right winger was in my pocket. but I scored an own goal and give away a penalty. So make of that what you will.
Still 11-0 without that, do you know what I mean?
You've got to be there to give away the penalties.
Do you know
it was 6-0 at that point, and I was just going for it.
You might as well.
Do you know what I read as well? That Jamie Vardy, he played the finals, played every round of the FA Cup through his career.
That's mad.
Bear in mind the first, the preliminary rounds starting like August.
Qualifiers and that.
Qualifiers when he's playing non-league right up to the actual final on Sunday. He's played in every round, I believe.
That's
okay now.
That was some mad stat I saw.
Yeah. Where did you find that, lad? You got some stat page that you follow. That's class.
Google all sorts, honestly.
Who would that have been for then? Like Fleetwood, or did he play for a lower league? Even lower than that?
I think he was lower than that as well at times.
Yeah, he was right down the divisions and stuff when he was younger. And then obviously Leicester took the chance on him. And how much did Leicester get him for? $1 million?
$1 million, yeah. In Fleetwood, I think they were in the conference at the time. I think, Leicester coming in for $1 million to a team in the conference is just ridiculous. For a player, the money the Fleetwood would have got, what they would have done with that money as well, and then the rest is history, isn't it? With Vardy and Leicester, it's been
Fleetwood aren't a bad outfit these days. I think they've bumped up a couple of weeks, haven't they? That's probably off the back of the Vardy money. I tell you what, question to any of our listeners: who was it that found Jamie Vardy from Fleetwood. Which scout found that? And don't tell me it was Steve Walsh, because he was shite for Everton. So it was not him. It couldn't have been. The one that found Mahrez in Kante.
Yeah, speaking of listeners, we've had a couple of comments of some listeners. We'll get them up on page now. Yes, as lads, Bees 1-0 down after the first leg, but still all to play for on Saturday. Not even touched upon the playoffs really, but it could have been a lot worse. Going away to the Vitality Stadium, it could have been a lot worse for Brentford. I
was a bit surprised with that, to be honest. I think I know past performances don't predict the future, but they won both league meetings this season, I believe. Brentford, they finished 10 points clear of Bournemouth as well in the league. It was I was a bit surprised with that one, but they're still in it. It's only 1-0.
Yeah,
they're still in a tie. So
a massive game on Saturday, then, isn't it? Really is set up.
Yeah.
Danny Hamlet, 100 million, and Jesse Lingard gets us Kane, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe. I mean, Jesse's not going to get back into the United team, I think, as good as he's been this season for West Ham. I just think the time's gone. It's been and gone for him now.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that. I think even he knows now his future's away from Old Trafford.
Yeah, his future's away from Old Trafford. He's had a brilliant season for West Ham, but I think touched upon it, about a month ago on one of these podcasts. I wouldn't have him in my England squad, despite how class he's been this year. I just think it's been and gone for him now.
Yeah,
and I still doubt whether he can repeat it, because unless West Ham come in and buy him and he just slots in nicely and carries on that form, I just don't know what the future holds for Jesse Lingard now. But I don't think he'll be at United. I'm
happy for him. He's been flourishing elsewhere, so whatever's good for him, he's good for him. He's got to do him at the end of the day. It's the same with Kane. Looping back to Kane. Kane's staying. He's on a 3-year deal. United are incompetent. Can't even argue with that, mate. Chelsea, a direct rival. No. City don't spend more than 60 million. So he reckons he's staying at Spurs. Could be. We've not even discussed that as a possibility, but...
Do City break the 60 million cap, though, if they lose an Aguero? Do you know what I mean? Like, we've spoken about it. Jesus doesn't fill that void. They're going to have to spend some money. They showed that they're not shy of spending money when they spent like 200 million on defenders. So,
yeah, definitely, I completely and utterly agree with you. Speaking of defenders, the Premier League club that's had absolutely no centre backs this season could still make the top 4. Has Alisson saved Liverpool's season? He scored an absolute screamer of a header against West Brom, and maybe let's not focus on the fact that West Brom probably should and could have won the game. Let's call a spade a spade. We all hate Liverpool. We're not going to pretend like we don't. We're 4 United fans and an Evertonian. Like, of course we hate Liverpool. And if they got relegated tomorrow and the club folded, I'd be out celebrating in the streets. But that Alisson interview, I'm never happy when a Liverpool player scores, but the Alisson interview afterwards, that was really touching, that, and it was just honest, and it was heartfelt, and it was raw, and he must have had a right shit show of a time in the past few months. So for him to score that goal and to see what it meant to him and everything, you know what? As a United fan, I can honestly say I'm buzzing for him. I hope that's gone a long way to helping him deal with the tough times that he's had this season on a personal level.
Yeah. You know what? Doesn't it just show if a Liverpool player or somebody who represents Liverpool Football Club comes out and just shows a bit of honesty rather than being a dickhead for once, people will side with him. He showed a bit of honesty. He showed emotion, how much it really meant to him. And I can't imagine that there's any fans for any clubs, really, even Evertonians, the bitterest of Evertonians, watching that probably didn't think, fair play, mate, buzzing for you, made up for you, because you deserve that. As a minimum, you deserve that after what you've been through. I made up for him, like you said, Collins. Couldn't say it any better, mate. Fantastic goal. It got them the 3 points. It might have got them 4th spot. As an Evertonian, I'm just buzzing they've not re-won the title, so take your 4th spot. I don't mind.
There's got to be a Barton shot in there somewhere. How do you feel, Dale? Like, we forget sometimes, don't we, that they are people. They're just like us. Do you know what I mean? Like the humans playing football, and sometimes when they show that side, we kind of like find ourselves again and think like, oh, actually, he's just a lad, just like any of us, and he's been through some right shit this season. So for him to get that, hopefully it helps him sort of exercise some demons that he's probably built up over the last couple of months.
No, you're right. You kind of forget. They are humans, like they're like us lads. And he's obviously had a rough few months, and it's like saying it was the raw sort of emotion. At the interview there at the end, and just sort of everything sort of coming out as there and then. That kind of, I think that's what sort of touched sort of everyone, got to everyone in the interview at the end. Like I say, it's just all sort of come out at the end there. And like I say, it was obviously brilliant for him to obviously get the winner for them. And obviously dedicate that one to obviously his dad and that. But like I say, at times you forget they are sort of humans like everyone else. They do, they do obviously suffer and have the emotions as well. And I say you don't really sort of see those interviews. They're sort of few and far between. And that was like a real sort of, proper emotional, heartfelt sort of interview there. And it was, it's been a rough couple of months for him. So yeah, it was good for him to obviously let that out and obviously celebrate with the team and bagging the winner, 95th minute winner as well for him.
What an amazing header as well!
Yeah,
like unbelievable. If that had been a Harry Kane goal, you'd have been like, top header that, mate. Well, I mean, I know you're expecting goals like that from Harry Kane, but certainly not from a goalkeeper.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, right? Can we just to get back to the game a little bit and the context of the game, right? A goalkeeper comes in now. How tall is Alisson? Do you reckon? Like 6'3", 6'4", something like that.
Yeah,
he's a big lad, isn't
he? Yeah.
A big, massive guy's coming up for a corner. Hey, West Brom, I'm going to need you to put someone on him to mark him. I'm going to need you to put a defender on him to mark him. Don't let him just float around in the box, waving his arms, right? Just all on my own. I'm going to need you to man mark him, Even a touch of zonal. Let's kick it back to the 90s. Bit of zonal marking. That'll do, but just something, to stop him from scoring that header, because it was completely and utterly avoidable. What are we doing? It's 1-1, the 95th minute. What are we doing? The defending was atrocious, and I'm not taking away from the goal, it was outstanding, but they grabbed defeat from the jaws of victory. They should have won the game, West Brom. They should have won the game. It's a wonder. Me, you, Josh, were talking about it before the podcast, and I'll let you talk about it a bit, actually, because you made the better points. It's surprising to see what's happened to West Brom this season with some of the football that they play.
Yeah. I predicted that West Brom would cause, despite already being down, I thought, because they've got nothing to play for, just go out there, play, enjoy your football. And West Brom have been one of those teams, certainly the second half of the season, where they can cause an upset. They've got some really good results. They've unfortunately probably lost a couple of games where they deserved a bit more. I think they've got some decent players there, and unfortunately, I think they'll probably lose them now that they're going down. But I was expecting them to cause an upset this weekend, and when they went 1-0 up, I thought, that's backing me up there. Even if it's a draw, that's an upset, because it causes that fourth spot battle to still, being up for grabs, really, amongst maybe about three teams now, isn't it, for fourth spot? I certainly wasn't expecting. I watched it. I wasn't expecting Liverpool to take the 3 points. They brought on Shaqiri. He had nothing to add, really. Unfortunately, I think he's one that Liverpool might need to get rid of now. I think he's had his day at Liverpool Football Club. I know he's a good squad player for most teams, but for Liverpool, they've not had the best season. They need to be looking at strengthening and not having players that are just squad players. Do you know what I mean? So I think they probably need to get rid of him. But I digress. Yeah, West Brom, they were unlucky, really. They had that goal choked off. I'm still not quite sure whether it was offside because, you know, you could say, oh, well, obstructing the goalkeeper's view. But like you said, Alisson's a big, tall lad. And judging by the videos that I saw and the camera angles I saw, he could definitely see over the player. There's a quite clear view over his head. So I think they were unlucky to have that one taken off them. It should have been a draw, really, but fair play. Yeah. Good 3 points for them.
I like to play devil's advocate, because I didn't think it was offside either. But when we played you last season, and you had that goal chalked off, and it was late in front of De Gea, and straight away I was up going, fucking offside, ref, fucking hell, it's obstructing the fucking goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Was it offside, Dale?
I was fuming though, wasn't I? Sorry, Dale. Yeah. I was fuming. I was raging.
I remember you coming into the group at the time. I come on a massive rant saying, well, it was this, and in the laws of the game and all the rest of it, you just come in with a message like, chat fucking shit, man. It's fucking onside.
I wasn't happy. I'm sure you were all just winding me up as well, getting me on the nibbles, casting the rod.
Oh, mate. Was it offside, Dale?
Well, in my eyes, no. There's a load of bollocks out. How many times have we mentioned VAR and offside this season? I've had enough. For me, no. Move on. Let's go.
You know how they draw the red line and they dot it up and they say how many millimeters offside they are and everything. Surely they can draw a line directing like a beeline from his eyes towards the ball, so you can see if he's got a clear sight. Anyway. Yeah, I sound bitter.
You've got to look at Liverpool's fixtures now. They've got Burnley away next and Palace at home. To get to the top four, and you look at Chelsea's next two, Leicester at home, Villa away. They're not that. That's not exactly a very pretty two fixtures there, and then Leicester just above them, obviously Chelsea, and then Tottenham. So you'd see Liverpool with arguably the easier the fixtures there, and you'd look at the Leicester and Chelsea fixtures. I mean, obviously they're playing each other. Obviously Leicester got Tottenham last game of the season, and Chelsea got Villa away.
That's a tasty one. That is a tasty one. And Villa away for Chelsea. There you go, Jay Legend. We've always liked you, Jay Legend. Even if he's not obstructing the view, directly the keeper's decision making is effective with a player right in front of him who's in an offside position. 100% off, in my opinion. That's what Dale should have said, but what Dale actually said was, "It's fucking bollocks, mate."
No, you know what? Jay Legend has probably got. He's got a valid argument there, and that is the argument, isn't it? At the end of the day, the decision's been given. He's offside. We can't change that. So that's that. Move on. They've got the 3 points. Alisson scored a belter. Mm-hmm. And you'd think Liverpool will get fourth spot now. Fair play to them. Still a disappointing season, though, isn't it?
The thing is, we've seen it across the season, and we've seen it across all the top leagues. Look at La Liga, for instance. Look at everything that's happening there at the moment, where Barcelona were on the verge of getting invited back in, and then Suarez scores a last-minute goal, and it's now in Atletico's hands. You think it's simple, and you think it's as simple as, well, Burnley can't buy a win at home at the moment, so Liverpool are going to go there and pace them. And then Liverpool went away to Palace earlier in the season, smashed them 7-0, so they're obviously going to beat them at Anfield. But the way the season's going, Liverpool will drop points there, Chelsea and Leicester will draw each other, but then they'll go and win their last games. And they'll secure top four. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's been mad all season.
It has. It's not easy to predict a winner on the Ackers. I can definitely vouch for that. But yeah, touching upon Burnley as well, I have to say, the result of the weekend, fair play to Leeds.
They got levered. Do you know what, as well? I thought that flattered Leeds. They were good for it in the end, but I watched the game the first half, and the first 10 minutes, Burnley were all over him. Leeds were not at the races at all. And then just before Leeds scored the first, they were all over him again. Leeds got a little bit into the first half, and it ended up being like a bit of a tit for tat first half. But they're just not clinical. There's no clinical finisher there. And I know we talk about Chris Wood, like, would he do better at a top team and stuff? He's not clinical enough. And I don't know whether that's him or whether that's the players that they've got around him at Burnley. They need more in that squad. And I know they've got owners coming in and money is possibly there and everything, but who wants to go and play for Burnley? No disrespect to Burnley fans, but it's not just a club. It's the project and the players that they've got there, and it's the lifestyle. Like, no one wants to come to England and live in Burnley. They want to live in London. They want to live in London. It just is what it is.
Imagine if Deitch got approached by Tottenham. Imagine that.
I don't know why he's not in.
It seems nobody's even mentioned it. I just thought about it then, but he'd probably do a job there, you know.
I think he would.
Given what he's done at Burnley. But do you not agree, Dale?
Do you not think that?
Do you think he's just a Burnley man, and that's that?
You know, when there's just certain managers just fit certain clubs.
Yeah,
you know,
it does that.
I remember Eddie Howe, for example. I think he had that spell at Bournemouth, where I think he got them to the Championship originally, and then I think he left and he went to Burnley, and I think they were in the Championship at the time, and he just couldn't repeat it. I think they had a poor season. I don't know if he left or he got sacked, but then went back to Bournemouth and got them to the Premier League and did rather well with them. I just think, Sean Dyche he just seems if he were to leave Burnley, I just don't know if he could repeat that elsewhere. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just think Burnley's his club. I think he's just got a way of playing. He does that 4-4-2. You know, everyone knows the job.
Yeah. Like
inside out. You know, it's pretty much the same 11 every week. I don't know. He's doing a job. I mean, he's keeping them in the league. He's doing a job there. I mean, albeit, you know, the last couple of seasons haven't been great, but you know, they're not really. Still, they've not really been troubled really by relegation, sort of at any point. I mean, he was in Europe a couple of seasons ago. You know, I don't.
Can I forget about?
Yeah, I don't know if they've just had a bit of a knock-on effect from that sort of campaign. But you're right; they probably do need a few more players or more sort of quality. I don't know, maybe striker, but defensively, I think they've had a bit of a poor season this season. Me and Tarkowski at the back they've been great, but I think they were better last season. But he's doing a job there. He's keeping them in the league.
Amazingly, though, me and Tarkowski did a right number on Bamford at the weekend. They kept him very quiet. And in the end, Bielsa had to take him off. But he was just getting no change out of them at all. Sean Dyche, he's a spicy Bolton Wanderers Sam Allardyce, isn't he? Do you remember Sam Allardyce at Bolton Wanderers? He was all that, wasn't it? And he used to just pluck these players out, and like JJ Kocher or Yori Jorkaeff is coming. Even Campo. You just get these players in. And they've got the problem that Burnley have got is that they need investment because it slipped under the radar because of the age of Palace's squad. But I think they've got the second oldest squad in the Premier League. I think I'm right in saying that. And they've only got Burnley, and I think they've only got a couple of players, young players, there at the moment. They need more youth in that team. They're not bad young players. I mean, look at Dwight McNeil. Dwight McNeil is a superstar in the making. He's a top player, McNeil.
Pope's quite young, isn't
he? I'm not sure, you know. I think he might be mid-20s now. I'll have a look at that. But I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. I think they have got the second oldest team in the Premier League, which is a concern.
29.
Is he 29?
Yeah, 29?
No way. I thought he was like 24.
It's middle age for a keeper, that though, isn't it? Keepers can go so.
They can, but ideally you would want, you know, if you're talking an England goalkeeper, you'd want them to be as good as he is, but maybe 5 years younger or something.
I'll tell you what though, Dale, like, you say no to Dyche at Spurs, but he's a fucking better option than Scott Parker. I am not having this fucking Scott Parker shit. Just because Scott Parker is young and good looking and wears nice clothes, apparently he should be Spurs manager. I've heard Spurs fans calling the radio, oh, you know, he just seems like he suits the Tottenham vibe. The Tottenham vibe What the fuck is that?
What is that?
Winning fuck all. Is that the Tottenham back?
Yeah.
If that's what you want, yeah, fair enough. What has Scott? Right, no disrespect to Scotty Parker. I don't think he's a bad manager, but he's took Fulham up and then he's got fucking relegated again. He's not done anything.
No, I rate him. I think he's got a nice little project there at Fulham, and I would fancy them to be favourites, if not, one of the top 3 favourites to bounce back up. I do think they'll come straight back up as well if they can keep hold of the certain players. I've seen some of the performances this year, and I think that they deserved more once again, like West Brom. But somebody's got to go down, haven't they? I rate Scott Parker. I like the fact that he's English. I liked him as a player as well. But no, he's not. He's not good enough for Tottenham. And I'm not saying that Tottenham are world beaters. By all means, they're not. They've not won anything, but they deserve a better manager than Scott Parker.
But I mean, will Fulham his first job? Scott Parker.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think he's been anywhere else, has he?
Give him a few more years, maybe. Get him. If he got a bit more sort of experience. If he stays at Fulham, if they can get him promoted again into the Premier League, and the right signings, then if you can keep him in the Premier League next time, or if they get there. But yeah, I think if he has a few more sort of years under his belt, maybe he might get a bigger job. But I don't think right now is the right time.
I feel like was he an assistant somewhere before he went to manage Fulham, like at Chelsea or something like that? I feel like he's done something.
He was at Spurs. He was on their under 18.
Yeah, that might be it. I knew that he had some other job managing like a reserves or an under 23s or something like that.
Yeah, he's speaking of teams that Fulham have beaten this season. I believe they beat Everton this season, didn't they, mate?
Yeah. Who hasn't? Let's not go into it.
Let's talk about Everton. Last topic before we get on to Dickhead of the Week to round off. What are Everton? Everton lose at home again. We've got to talk about it, mate, because it's a real problem. I don't understand it, and I'm not just blaming you. Like Burnley, we're just talking about Burnley. They've been awful at home this season. I think they've not won at 9 now home games in a row. United, we've dropped so many points at home this season, but Everton just seems to be fucking awful at Goodison, which is a place where you would typically pick up most of your points.
Yeah.
So what is it? As an Evertonian, as a toffee, in your opinion, what is it? Is it as simple as just saying it's because the fans aren't there, or is something else going on?
I honestly can't put my finger on it, mate. I can't. I wish I could. I don't know what's going on, because, like you said, I've grown up with Everton being like Goodison was a fortress. People come to Goodison and they knew that they weren't coming away with 3 points easy. And you listen to ex-professionals. Gary Neville said that he used to hate coming to Goodison Park. Ex-United players, best team in the country and in the world for a long period of our youth. Didn't have an easy day coming to Goodison Park. But these days, apparently, it's an easy 3 points, even for teams that are relegated. I don't watch too many football matches in full these days. I tend to save my time for Everton games. I wish I'd have not wasted my time watching that yesterday. I'm glad that we weren't playing for something. I'd already written off 4th spot for us. I knew we weren't getting it. I know you could say, oh, well, we're playing for Europa League football still. There's a chance for that. I don't think we deserve it. Not at all. The amount of points we've dropped at home, we are not ready to play on a European front. I'm quite happy for us to finish, below expectations now and just focus on building a better team and getting rid of some, there are some crap players in our team that do not make that starting 11, but seem to be playing week in, week out. And it's frustrating, really frustrating.
I give it a go, for a start.
Yeah, you know what, mate? I used to love him. I just think, unfortunately, I think that injury is just... He's not the same player. He is not the same player anymore. He doesn't make my team, unfortunately. But he's one of many. He really is.
Gomez has got to go. I think Iwobi's had some bright spots this season, but he's got to go. If you're looking at raising funds, get rid of Moise Kean. I mean, I know he's been on loan all season, but he's done relatively well. On loan this season, he's had some good performances. He scored quite a few goals, so you probably get 20-30 million for him.
Yeah,
there's quite a few players that you could get rid of to raise the funds now.
Yeah, I think PSG are interested. They're talking about 25-30 million price tag on him. I think we'll probably want to try and recuperate our money. So if we can get 30, we've probably done all right there, considering when you look at his performances for us, he's been dreadful. So we'd do well to get our money back. Yeah, really poor for Everton. He's just one of those players that, obviously, he's a young lad. He's got the opportunity to come and play in the best league in the world, arguably. I think it is. And he's taken that opportunity, and it's not for him. He obviously doesn't like England. He doesn't like Liverpool. He doesn't like playing for Everton. It's not always going to click, is it? And for him, it's not. But going over to Paris has. So if Paris come in for him, I've heard Juventus are interested in signing him back. Great, if we can make the money back. Yeah. But like you said, one of many. Iwobi, for me, he had one good game at right back all season. That was it. And that was against Fulham.
The one for me, do you know who's disappointed me again this season, despite having some really, really good games? And I know it's not all about stat padding and scoring goals and assists and stuff. And I'll come to you, I'll see what your opinion is on this, Dale. I'm actually really disappointed in Richarlison. I just don't think he's produced enough again this season. And when you've got a team like Everton, who, let's face it, you have been heavily reliant on Dominic Calvert-Lewin for the goals this season. Easy talisman, and there's nothing wrong in that. There's a lot of teams in the Premier League that are reliant on one or two players. United, certainly. Look at us with Bruno for long parts of the season. But Richarlison, just in the times where they really needed him, he's just not stepped up. And his performances, as good and industrious as they are sometimes, I just don't think there's enough end result to him, even though the potential's there. It's really frustrating. I'm not saying he's a lost cause, but what's your opinion on Richarlison, Dale? Do you think he's contributing enough? And what do you think Everton need to do in the transfer market this summer to get up to top six level?
Well, I'm just looking at Richarlison this season. He's got 6 league goals. He had 13 the last 2 seasons. So obviously he's down in sort of that department, but it's like I say, it's not even just the goals; it's some of the performances as well. And for 50 million, was it 50 million, Josh? You got him for?
Yeah.
For 50 million, you'd be looking at saying, you're expecting more, you're demanding more for a player of that price tag. So yeah, he's still 24. There's still some years there. He could turn it around, but if he were to stay this season, I think next season might be a defining one for him. If he doesn't step up, I think he'd be gone after that. But yeah, he has been, for me, he has been disappointing. But in terms of, I'm looking at your bench that you had on sort of yesterday. Bernard, I'd get rid of him.
Yeah.
Tom Davies, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Delph.
Oh, fucking hell. Get rid of him.
Gomez, Iwobi. I mean, I'd even argue Sigurdsson. I'd get rid of him as well. I just don't think they're up to scratch. Or they're just. I mean, some of the price tags for them as well that they've paid recently.
I think that's one of the more depressing things as an Evertonian. The price tags of these players are astronomical.
And like Iwobi. 40 million for Iwobi.
Oh, God. Are we going to go here again? Is this where we're going to
go? No, we're not going to go down there, but,
Iwobi is fucking toss, mate. He's toss.
But, Ancelotti's probably got a bit of quite a big sort of rebuild job there, in my eyes. I mean, starting 11-wise, you could, it's Coleman maybe, is he sort of coming sort of towards the end?
Oh yeah,
this sort of time.
Coleman's done for me now.
And then Rodriguez. I mean, he started brightly. He's just sort of tailed out. I know he's had a few injuries as well, sort of mid-end of the season. So he sort of tailed off a little bit. But Doucouré and Allen in the centre mid, when they're on it, they're on it.
Yeah.
Especially Allen. I think he's been a fantastic signing. When
he's a great player.
Godfrey's, he's played all across the back there. You've got a player in him. Keane seems to have done well quite, this season. Digne at left back, well, you know what you're going to get from him. I won't discuss Pickford, but you got some players there in the 11 there. You've got plenty to work with. You're just kind of lacking a bit on the sort of the bench or squad players. I say some of the prices are just for some of them. On the returns you've been getting recently, I think he's got a bit of a sort of a job on his hands to offload some of them and get some sort of young sort of quality coming through.
Yeah.
Or try and get them in. Anyway, but
I know I touched upon it earlier. I think there's a couple of players that I would quite happily raid from West Brom. I really would. Sam Johnston. I'd get him straight away. Like
Pereira, mate.
Pereira.
Yeah. We need a right winger. Just put him in there. Just get him on that right side. He'd do a job cutting in. No bother. I'd take that over Iwobi. Oh, mate, yeah. Have they signed him on loan, though?
I think so.
I think he's on loan, isn't he? That's the only issue. But he's shown in the Premier League that he can do it. So I think there'll be teams that will be looking at him on a full-time deal. But yeah, for me, goalkeeper, definitely I'd take that Sam Johnston all day, mate. I think he's a brilliant goalkeeper. I really do. World class. On his day, he's like a brick wall. And as a United fan, obviously he came from you, didn't he, initially? You must be looking back. I know you've got class goalkeepers, I know that, but you must be thinking he'd have done a job for us as well if he'd have stayed on.
Look at that save he made against Maguire last minute against them. Fucking swat. He'll never make a better save than that in his whole entire career, the dickhead. But United players love to come back and do us like that. Look at Johnny Evans in the FA Cup recently. Leicester, absolutely impenetrable. When Johnny Evans left United, we thought he was done. But what a player he is. It just goes to show you the quality you have at some of these clubs sometimes, and the competition for places. We were talking about Jesse Lingard at the start of the podcast. He goes to West Ham and he revolutionises that side. And West Ham have been great all season, don't get me wrong, but Jesse Lingard is the big catalyst for them getting Europa League. There's no doubt about it. It'd be interesting to see what happens at Everton this summer. It's going to be an interesting transfer window for a lot of teams, but Everton particularly, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Carlo does. Carlo's the X factor, so we'll see who he can bring in. Lads, I think it's time for our last segment of the podcast, everyone's favourite segment of any podcast ever. It's time for Dickhead of the Week. Roll the video. Yes, Cat, it's coming. Just no blame. Technical issues. We'll get it going. Folks, we're the dickheads of the week right now.
You know what? Under 18s, yeah, we're furloughing you. No, it's just not something you do.
No.
Just not that week. Here we go. Oh, dickhead of the week.
Dickhead of the week.
That's a simple one. We're the dickheads of the week, taking 20 seconds to play a simple fucking video. Change your caption on the screen. Dickhead of the week. Obviously, this section of the podcast, we choose who is our dickhead in the footballing world over the last 7 days or so. As a cat, he was so eager and keen for that video to play. It was the pressure. I was fine until the cat started meowing, but as soon as I felt the pressure of the fourth member of the podcast, I was like, shit, I've got to get this video out quick. Dale, mate, it's your podcast section, so we'll cut to you first, actually. Who's your dickhead of the week, mate?
It's not necessarily a person, but I'm gonna throw Josh's team in the mix for you.
Fair play, mate.
I just say every time there was a bit of hope to get into Europe. There's that chance to get into Europe. They just didn't deliver. I'm looking at some of the recent results, and you're getting away win at Arsenal, and then you lost at home to Villa. You win away at West Ham, and then you draw against Villa, and then lose to Sheffield United. It's that home form that's killed you. It really has. And I think Carlo's come out and just said he was a bit embarrassed as well by the performance.
So he should be.
The weekend, and yeah, I didn't like to mention it, but I just, yeah, it was just a few times this season where you just had that chance to sort of get yourself in the mix a bit. Whether it was fourth, Europa League, they've just come a cropper at home against a sort of lower table team, and it's happened far too many times. I say Goodison Park's usually, teams are scared to go there. They're going to be in for a game. And then obviously Carlo's he seems to have had enough this season with the home form as well, with the comments he's come out with. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to throw Everton in the mix this week for that.
Fair shout, mate. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. That Josh, anyone to throw in there?
Yeah, like I said, great shout, Dale. Completely agree with that, mate. I'm embarrassed by it. But it'd be boring if we had the same suggestions. So I'm going to also throw a team in the mix, and that is on the European front. It is Barcelona Football Club. So first of all, they drew 0-0 to Atletico Madrid. Now, fair enough. Atletico Madrid are another team pushing for the title. No shame in drawing in an uneventful 0-0. Fair play. But they went 1-0 up against Celta Vigo at the weekend. A team who are actually notoriously a bit of a bogey team for Barcelona. But they went 1-0 up. Real Madrid were drawing at the time, 0-0. And I believe that Atletico Madrid were also drawing 0-0 at the time when I looked at it. Now, it's ended up that Atletico Madrid have gone on to win. And you forgive me, how did Real Madrid do? I
think Real Madrid won, I think Madrid got a result in the end because it's just them.
Yeah, they won 1-0.
Real Madrid won 1-0, didn't they? Yeah. Real Madrid won 1-0. Atletico Madrid have gone on to win it. And Barcelona somehow, they went down to 10 men and they've been beat 2-1. They're completely out of the race now. I think there's only one game left of the season. They're about 7 points behind top spot. They're gone. It's been an appalling season for them where they've been knocked out of the Champions League easily by PSG. They've not won. I mean, they're lucky they won the Copa del Rey, but they only did that by the skin of their teeth in the semi-final, where they came back from a really good second leg against Sevilla. If it wasn't for that, it'd be a trophyless season, a season that's been, we know that they're in debt by £1 billion. They've changed their president because, the previous president got ousted out, I believe, and they've got somebody who's better now, this Laporte, in his second or third term. Messi is in doubt for remaining at Barcelona. We just don't know what's happening for this team now, and the fact that the fans have got nothing to cheer about. I think that the team's just lost the spirit, that everything that they stood for under Pep Guardiola and then Tito Villanova. They're just nowhere near that same squad anymore. They've lost countless legendary players: Xavi, Iniesta, Dani Alves, Abidal. That's a special mention for Lee because I know he loves Abidal. They're not. I used to love Barcelona. I still do have a place in my heart for Barcelona. They aren't the same team. I don't like Ronald Koeman at all. I don't like what he did at Everton Football Club. So that's, as a player, Ronald Koeman, brilliant. As a manager, tosser, absolute tosser, and not a good manager in my opinion. So he needs chinning off. They need to get rid of him, 100%, and they need to rebuild quickly because I'd say 9 out of 11 players on that team sheet every week now I don't even know, absolute nobodies. So yeah, I've ranted, but Barcelona Football Club, you are my nomination for Dickheads of the Week.
Well, I mean, you look in the last week, they've absolutely bottled it. The last week's results: draw, loss.
Dreadful, mate.
You know, right at the business end in a title season. You know, I mean, a draw against Atletico Madrid. You know, you just said it there, Josh. You know, there was a couple points in it then, anyway. But a 3-3 draw and then a 2-1 home loss. He's come down. You know, they've got himself in a decent position, and they've come down to the last week or two, and just choked.
All that hard work.
That's all it is. All that hard work and last, you know,
nothing.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, thinking back when they played Atletico Madrid, I think they had 2 goals disallowed, like where the ball was in the back of the net and it was given offside on both. You know, both. So they actually went for it. So fair play. They were unlucky, but at least they had a go. So I forgive that result. But like you said, Dale, the other results, I remember every week in, week out, Barcelona were winning and smashing people 5-0, 6-0, 8-0, like, and that's not even an over exaggeration. They were actually pasting people 7 or 8 years ago, and now they're lucky if they get a win to Huesca. You know, you know what I mean? Like really bad teams.
Yeah. Pretty sure I've had a cold glass of that at some point. A glass of Huesca.
Yeah,
but you know, they've played Levante there. They've gone 2-0 up, drew the game 3-3.
Yeah,
they've gone 1-0 up at home against Celta Vigo and got beat 2-1. So, like I say, they've been in winning positions in these games and just not got the job done.
Like the opposite, United.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Go ahead, and then just like fucking crumble. Shit. I'd like to think Barcelona are going to be better next season, though, because if you're being realistic, Aguero's on his way, which I know that's only a 1 or 2 season thing, but Aguero's on his way. Wijnaldum is probably going to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Memphis Depay is probably going to Barcelona. So they're probably going to be a lot more competitive. I know those players are aging and old. Depay's, you know, arguably in his prime now, as is Wijnaldum, but you'd like to think they'd be a bit more competitive, but they're all in similar positions. It's the same with Real Madrid. They're just relying on old players. Like, how many more seasons are you going to get out of Benzema and Modric and Kroos? You've got to start building. You've got to start bleeding youth through. Otherwise, it's going to be a very tricky next 5 or 6 seasons for the Giants over there. And you're going to see the likes of Sevilla and Atletico, you know, winning more and more titles and pushing Real Madrid and Barcelona down. I mean, could you imagine Real Madrid and Barcelona in a couple of seasons if they don't address this issue, playing in the Europa League? Because you just can't get top 4, because you just don't have the player power to go for it. Frightening thought.
I've just I had to double check on myself there to see how Barca did against Huesca, because I didn't want to give Huesca a bit too much respect there. Barca did actually beat them 4-1, so I was wrong there. So I'm the dickhead of the week. But
in other seasons, it would have been 4-0. So shit.
Yeah, but you know, Eibar, Elche, all these teams, they're giving them a run for the money these days, whereas they didn't used to, and that's the point.
Yeah, they're not the team of old. It's going to be a toss-up between Everton and Barcelona this week, because my nomination is also Barcelona Football Club, but for an entirely different reason. And I'll get onto that in a second, because I've got another nomination, and the other nomination is Lee Noble. So the reason why, a bit of context to this, I put in the group chat before, Harry Kane, it makes me laugh. Harry Kane's told Spurs he wants to leave. Wow. Kicking up a fuss, wants to stay in the Premier League and wants it sorted before the Euros. Lee, just been reading. City, there's no way we're buying him. It'll be a man club, but not United. Oh, I wonder who that is then. It'll be a man club, but not United. And then he's trying to Stockport. It'll be a man club, but not United. Fucking hell, I wonder. A man club, but not United. That's my first nomination. So Lee, if you're watching, dickhead. But Barcelona. And my other nomination, and this one's for Danny actually, because he'll agree with me 100%. I know you lads will as well, as you and Lee as Barcelona stalwarts. Letting Luis Suarez go. And I know this is a very delayed nomination, but it seems more poignant now than ever. with him scoring an 88th minute winner the other day, which is practically handed the title to Atletico on a plate. All they need to do is win their last game now. Why Barcelona? Why did they let him go? 20 goals this season in La Liga in 31 games. Stupid decision. I don't know what you were thinking.
Your dickhead that you're searching for there, the grand schemer of that transfer was Bartomeu, the previous president. Didn't like him, thought he was probably too old and passed it and got rid of him whilst he still could. And as you rightfully put, well, Barcelona's loss has been hugely Atletico Madrid's gain.
That's my nomination. Shouldn't have let Luis Suarez go. Still a banging goal scorer. Silly business. Also silly, one last shout out to J Legend. Dani Alves called up to the Brazil squad today, this weekend. 38 years old. Get the fuck out.
Oh, mate. Dani Alves' link-up play with Lionel Messi back in the day was out of this world. There was no better right-hand side than that.
You make me salivate. Dale, you've got probably the hardest decision of all time. Everton or Barcelona?
Oh, it's Barcelona.
Fucking hell. Everton can't even win Decade of the Week.
Just obviously, the last week's results, they bottled it. Obviously, what you've just brought up there with Luis Suarez coming back to haunt them, shall we say? He's just pretty much not sealed the title, but they're playing what's the last fixture there? Atletico's a relegation, a team that's already relegated away from home. So you'd like to think they're going to win that game. Madrid have got, is it Villarreal at home? Could be a
not
bit
easy.
One.
Yeah,
could have been. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Barcelona have bottled it. Luis Suarez has just basically stuck the two fingers up at him and gone, right, I'm still going to win a title. Doesn't matter.
God, Atletico Madrid away to Valladolid. God,
yeah.
If you're an Atletico Madrid fan or player or whatever, you're looking at that result and thinking, one hand's on that trophy already. We literally just need to keep possession of the ball and play that 90 minutes out. No bother.
Yeah.
Don't even risk it. Don't do anything risky. Just play the simple ball.
Yeah.
They've won that title. It's all wrapped up and stuff in it. So that is. There's nothing more you can say in it. Real Madrid and Barcelona have had the chances. As bad as it's been this season, they've had the chances and they just still couldn't do it. I don't know whether that's a mentality thing, a player thing, a management thing. At board level, they've both had problems, but it is what it is, and I'm happy for Atletico. It makes it more interesting that someone else is going to clinch the title this season, so fair play. Lads, go on, lad.
Sorry to just chip in with this before we wrap up, but do you think Simeone might get tapped up after this, and would he consider moving after winning the league title?
Do you know what I said? Do you know when I said before about managers and their teams?
Yeah. You think he's another one?
I think Simeone's born for this team. I think if he went anywhere else, I think he'd struggle to repeat because I think the work ethic, what he demands of this team, I think they set up a similar sort of 4-4-2 kind of formation, I think, but they don't need the ball. They can let the Madrid's Barcelona have 70-80% of possession. They work their asses off, staying compact, closing the spaces and stuff. And what he demands of his players, I think he'd find that very difficult at a different club.
I think he's the absolute ideal man for Tottenham. I have to say it. I do. I just think Tottenham, notorious bottle jobs, notorious for just not being able to fight out and battle out results. And then you bring in someone like Simeone, who as a player was a grafter and as a manager just gets the best out of players and really makes them tough teams to beat, real battlers, hard players. If you took a manager like that over to Tottenham and turned the team into, a force to be reckoned with, a team that really battles for everything, they could ultimately reach the potential that Tottenham Hotspur showed under Pochettino. I'm not saying the current squad, but he would be absolutely perfect for Tottenham. But do I think he'd go there if I was him? No.
Oh,
Don't.
massive step down, that.
Yeah.
Massive
But money,
step down.
and London talks, doesn't it? But then Madrid's a beautiful city. It's much warmer there, so stay there, Simeone.
I mean, he's probably on a fair few, bit of dough there anyway. He's probably got the biggest contract there, maybe, or top two easy. Zidane's probably on a fair bit at Madrid as well, but
that might be a little topic for the boys on Wednesday night. Yeah, I know Danny might want to talk about that.
I don't think
I'm not saying Diego Simeone is an Argentinian Sean Dyche, but if he does go to Spurs, that Burnley versus Spurs game next season is going to be fucking wonderful.
Brick walls.
Just stood right back, staring at the ball centre circle like, no, you get it, it's all right. Chris, do you know what as well? If Simeone goes, would Harry Kane stay? There you go. We'll leave on that cliffhanger.
Yeah, nice.
Because that's a big managerial appointment. That. So yeah, we'll throw that one to Lee and Danny on Wednesday and see if they want to get their teeth sunk into that. And we will be back on Wednesday. So, bit of housekeeping before we sign off. If you've enjoyed tonight, thank you very much for sticking the course with us. We were meant to do this at sub-hour, but the thing is, we all love each other that much and we love the game that much that we just end up chatting shit. So we've gone for an hour and 15 tonight and we've loved every single minute of it. Thank you if you stuck with us the entire time. Follow us on social media. We are 4M1T. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitch, and we are on Facebook. And we are also on YouTube. Just search for 4Manx One Topic, click subscribe, and every time we go live, you will know about it. Lads, anything you want to sign off with?
No, just be nice seeing you boys.
Yeah, been a cracking podcast. We sign off. It's just two more things I need to sign off with. We'll sign off letting everyone know again about the format. If you weren't tuned into the beginning, we are now going to do 2 a week. So we will go in live on Monday night. We're going live on Wednesday night. Mondays will be hosted by yours truly, and Wednesdays will be hosted by Danny, who usually hosts the podcast. And then my good friends here, Dale and Josh, and then Lee will swap and change. So we'll all have different nights, sort of on a week-by-week basis, so we'll keep it nice and fresh. And occasionally we might have some special guests and stuff, so we'll try and announce them at the start of the week so everyone can look forward to that. So tune in on Wednesday night. I believe it's going to be 9 o'clock that Danny and Lee and To Be Decided go live. So tune in for that. They will have all the up-to-date news and they'll be looking forward to this weekend's games as well. And speaking of this weekend's games, Josh, I know you're not around for it. I know I know Danny's not around for it. But myself, Dale and Lee will be joining forces with some other podcasts this weekend for what might be the biggest live watch-along ever in football YouTube history. Here's a little trailer to wet the whistle. If it'll play.
Still waiting.
Yeah. My internet is shite tonight, I'm telling you. It'll play.
Immense.
That was class.
How was that for a trailer?
If that doesn't wet the whistle, I don't know what will.
This Sunday at 3 p.m. across YouTube and social media, ourselves, the Amateur Footballer, the Away Day Show, Lily White TV, the Football Dugout, Mad Sports Network, and 2 Up Top Football, as well as myself, Dale and Lee representing for M1T. We will all be going live for a live watch along. We'll be covering one game each. It'll be like Soccer Saturday on steroids with beers and just better banter all around. It's going to be an absolutely cracking event. So tune in for that one this Sunday at 3 p.m. for the last game of the last games of the Premier League season. It's going to be immense. We're looking forward to everyone tuning into that one. And that signs us off. That's pretty chunky podcast, that lads. Really, really enjoyed it.
Yes. Cheers, mate.
It's been great.
Take care, guys.
See you later.
See you later. I'm going to play the outro now, and let's see how long this one takes to play.